from you, or coming to you live yet again from my home office in Charlotte, North Carolina. Sorry I look a little bit silly today for those of you that can see me, but apparently if your toddler drops your cell phone on the ground as many times as he has this past week, the speakerphone doesn't work as well, so I have to hold it up today. But again, my role today is the facilitator of the webinar, but today I will be very short and sweet with my intro since we'll be breaking out into learning groups today with our learning group leaders. So let me click through to our agenda just so we can kind of have an idea of what to expect today. So I want to give a quick thank you to Alex Littleton for her presentation last week on how her team works together to create her needs assessment, create goals, and then match those goals with tiered supports. It was really great, and we had a lot of participation from all of you that I'm hoping that carries through this week too. So this week we are going to dive in a little bit deeper and hone in on that case management. So I'm going to skip this slide really quick that just talks about how we communicate via WebEx, because I think by now all of you know where the chat box is, how to raise your hand, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to dive into how this breakout session is going to work. So if you joined us on week 2, you have already been through one of these breakouts and you have braved the storm and we made it, which I think it went really well. I'm hoping that today is just a testament on really this peer-to-peer sharing, making sure we're having those conversations, really diving in deeper to some of these tough topics. So like I said earlier, we're going to be breaking into breakout sessions, and today we are going to be going through some case studies of some real-life communities and schools alumni. So when we launch you into your breakout sessions, you're going to see a quick pop-up box inviting you to join. Please click yes. We would love to hear from you. Your audio will immediately transfer into that breakout session. So really all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We're doing everything on our end. So right before we put you into your breakout sessions, we're going to unmute everyone. So just make sure that you're ready to hit that mute button. We don't need to hear the dogs barking or the students talking or anything like that. So just make sure that you're ready to hit mute and we're ready to rock. We're going to have about 20 minutes in that session, but before we launch you, let's go over our learning objectives and just a sneak peek of what we're going to be braving this week. So today's webinar, like all of the others, are created to enhance this week's course on case management. So as you know, CIS defines case management as a collaborative process that does 2 things. It establishes a system of services at the school level that can be brokered or provided in support of individual students, and it also identify and partner with individual students who are at risk of dropping out of school to assess their needs and assets, create individual plans for action, and provide, broker, or coordinate and monitor and adjust service delivery and evaluate student progress against the established goals, all to increase the probability that each student will stay in school and achieve in life. But you already knew that because you already took the course and you already saw that CIS definition. So let's work through some real-life case studies together in our sessions today. And this is not only to put the case management concept into action, but it's also to just share our ideas with our peers, by answering the question of what would you do if this was your student? Hearing different suggestions around the tiers of support, different services that you've brokered, just everyone's experience in the past, I feel, is really going to help us tackle these case studies, and then also gain insight and hopefully start to build off of one another to make a plan for these alumni in each of these case studies. So without further ado, like I said, you're going to have about 20 minutes with your learning leaders to discuss each of the case studies in your breakout sessions. You're going to see a pop-up. We're going to pull you back into the larger group, and then we're going to go ahead and report out on each case study because every single breakout group is going to be different with a different case study. So then we'll be able to share ideas, again, those tiered supports, and really just make sure that the group has several different ideas if one of these students happen to knock on your door tomorrow. So, Jessie, do you want to go ahead and launch everyone into our groups, please?
Yes. So what I'm going to do first, y'all, and Ashley already mentioned this, is I'm going to unmute everyone. So have your mouse trigger fingers ready to mute yourselves if you do not plan on vocally participating as we first break out, but also be ready to unmute yourselves so that we can hear from you as you get broken into the session. So I'm going to start the breakout session now, and give it about 30 seconds before you jump into your session. So thanks, folks. So everyone's unmuted now.
As you can see, you passed it, but just barely. So I would like to see even.
Hey folks, don't forget you are unmuted now. So if you need to remute yourselves, please find a place to do that.
Explain that to your mother. That only for a minute. What have you been doing to make you so tired? Oh wait.
Hey folks, don't forget to mute yourself. The mute button will be either on your phone. If you're dialed in, you can mute yourself.
Why are you so tired, man? Because you're always running so fast and all of that good stuff. Yeah. 2.
I heard you get time.
All right, folks, we should be in our breakout groups now.
Walking around school, running.
So Miss Carla Howard, can I ask you to mute yourself? Miss Carla Howard, can we mute yourself, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
That's okay, don't worry about it. So what we should see now is we are in our very own breakout sessions. Welcome everybody to our breakout session. We'll just give everyone 1 second to join.
I think that's good.
Yes.
I've done something else wrong. Come here. I hit the wrong button. It says lead breakout session. What I need to do now? Go back to auto.
I guess, probably.
See this right here. Your auto will you be switched from the main session to the breakout session?
Continue. Maybe yes. Probably.
You will switch from the main session though.
Yeah. So
That's gonna mess me up.
Hi, is Alex on the call?
That's it. You hear him talking.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
See, now I can't hear nobody. There's no.
Hi, Alex. Is this Alex? Are you on the call, Alex?
What's breakout session? What is a breakout?
It means you gotta stop.
Hi, who's on the call?
This is Stephanie Davis in Taylorsville, North Carolina.
Okay, strange. Maybe.
I'm waiting for the breakout session to start.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, right there.
Nicole. Nicole on here. See Nicole again, see something's not right. But she's on here. See?
Yeah.
I need to say leave breakout session on.
Probably leave it. Where you gonna know? I've never done one. I never seen something like that. This before. Nice. There's the whole list.
You can see my name on here.
Go down. It's V. Or was it? I don't know, like.
Oh God, see, I done messed up. You don't see my name.
Keep going. I think it's.
See, yeah, I done messed up.
Well, there's still more names.
Yeah, but I can't hear nothing. She said, yes, click yes to join the breakout session. So how do I go back? Participate? Don't
Hit
wanna...
rejoin previous session.
Confusion sometimes. Now I can't hear anybody. I know. Evidently somebody did. I should be able to hear them. It is. I hate this stuff. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's how it works. It is. It's terrible. having a discussion. So I assume we're not using audio. I'm about to use one of your choice words, Chris. He's about to drop something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't even hear the question. It was just irritating. You better not have to fix that with me. I hear people calling. Why don't you get up, pretend it's up there? I mean, they can prove you all wrong. Yeah, I'm not doing anything else. I'm just going to sit and watch you talk to each other. This is irritating me. This is what they're like being still. Yeah. I'm not like working like this. No. Well, so if you can't hear, I can call Miss Willis, right? Okay, so you're only talking to Miss Willis. You can't hear them. I can't hear anybody. I don't even know. Everybody's chatting. I don't think they can hear us. Oh, that clock won't work. I'm not looking at that clock. 6:12. Okay. That's all you thought you could go. It turns out the energy still break. I don't know why I thought it was the end of the day. She thought it was. We saw alternatives. Okay, I think we'll be. Yeah, I think I'm here. I can't hear anybody. Everybody's talking through the chat thing, so evidently that's what happened. Hey, Mr. Lewis, this is Ms. Charles. If you could give me a call at, let's see, I'm going to be out of the office for a few minutes in another office, and can you call me at 2508? Thank you. Bye-bye. I don't know what I'm responding to. The other day I could hear it. Now I can hear anything. And I could hear her earlier when she came on. It's recording. I don't know why I'm not hearing. The other day I could hear everything we did. Really? I need a call back. Kind of a gross looking dog. It looks gross. Look at it. Now look at this. Look at it. That's what this is doing. Not at all. Not really appropriate. I'll show you that one. I have no clue what we're talking about. That way to pull out of this thing. It's irritating me. Just much. I don't know what we're talking about. Is she in the gym now? Did she tell she better pay attention? Oh, so she'll be there. That's Chris. Okay. Right. They're snorting. What is snorting? I don't know. I don't know if anybody can hear anything. I can't even hear anything. If they had no snorting, then you tell them this. I was mad because I couldn't hear. I'm snorting mad. This is ridiculous. What I had told Miss Williams was, she occasionally bringing money for the raffle after that. And it might be soon because I'm getting ready to pull out of this because I have no clue what we're responding to here. I'm just stabbing at it, and I don't like that. Stabbing back. I'll walk in. Well, here's what I'm getting ready to do. Getting ready to die. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm going to walk on over there and give her this money. Because this is ridiculous. I don't know why I can't hear it. It worked last week. Don't make me so short by you. Do you know the behavior specialist too? I'm not going to see a people. Do you know the behavior specialist too? Do you know who she is? That's not what she means. I'm asking, do you know who the behavior specialist is? Who do you think it is? Okay, out of all the people I'm trying to interfere with, who do you think it is? Chief counselor. It's not me, right? Okay. It's not Miss Harmon. Okay. It's not. Okay. This is better. Okay. The two of us, we say it all the time. Right? So you know, yeah. You know Miss Harmon. You know Miss Susan. You know Miss St. Clair. You know Miss Sears. Do you even know who Dr. Harris is? The behavior specialist is the redhead one that comes in the business. What?
All right, folks, welcome back to the main session. Everyone should be muted except for our panelists. So welcome back. We'll give the rest of the folks time to get back.
They're not going to like the survey answers today.
Hey, folks. So do I give folks a minute to get kicked back in this main session? All right.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah. Hi there. So let's give it one more second. I'm waiting for Ashley to get kicked back in so she can walk us through the process. See, Ashley, can you hear us?
I can. I was talking to myself for a little bit. I thought that you could hear me. Gotta love it, guys. Gotta love it. All right.
I'm going to make you the presenter again, so if you've got any slides.
Perfect.
Great.
So what I am going to start doing, do we have everyone back in? Everyone has their audio figured out. I see a lot of people on mute. Thank you for doing that for the background noise. All right. Okay, so how did it go? Did everyone, were you too scared to talk up in our group? I know that we had, Danielle and I had a couple that would actually unmute themselves and speak. I know it's a little bit scary when you're in those breakout sessions with people that you don't know, but just based on our breakout session, we got a lot of really great feedback and a lot of really great ideas on how to tackle some of these really tough situations. So thank you so much for everyone for your participation in those breakout groups. And again, I know that we asked you, I think it was week 2, what you thought about the breakout groups, and feel free to just shoot me a personal email or a message in the chat box. Again, we're always for the feedback on those. And the whole point of them was just to collaborate with each other and to learn from one another. So hopefully you got that out of those breakout sessions. Okay, so now I am going to toss it over to Tasha. She had, or her entire breakout session had James's case study, where you guys can all see James right here. You can read a little bit about his background, but Tasha, I would love for you to maybe just read a little bit about James and then tell what all of you did to tackle some of James's issues. Do we have Tasha on the line still? Did we lose her in breakout session world? Okie doke. All right, so I see Tasha's name, but I don't hear you. There you are. Hi. I can say it again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
So James, he was switching from middle school to high school. He expected things to be a little different, bigger classes, more people. He comes from a single-parent family with 4 siblings. He stayed with CIS for 3 years. He knew the site coordinator. He saw her as welcoming and helpful. Talked to her a lot about attendance and grades, but there was one thing that he kind of held on to for these 3 years, trying to figure out who to tell, how to tell, what to tell, and he eventually got comfortable and told her, you know, I am gay. And that's kind of where we took it from there, and we just started with, you know, that's a long time to hold in something very personal, you know, so it must have taken a lot for him to trust her. We talked through what it was that she did as a site coordinator to create that trusting environment, just having an open door, being a relatable person, building rapport, not just with him individually, but across the whole campus, being that person who is friendly and open and welcoming and helpful. Also establishing that what is said to the site coordinator is confidential and respecting the student's privacy and how to keep that privacy amongst a bustling school of everything going on. We then talked about, you know, what would we do? Is he on the CIS caseload, or what level is he on? And we were split. Some people felt like, I need a little more information. I need to know, you know, is he really struggling? Is he just wanting to talk about it? Maybe if he's on the caseload, we would do tier 2 and some group work, or maybe it's a tier 3 with a mentor. So we kind of talked around those ideas a little bit about how we could help and go from there.
Great, thank you for sharing. And I know I'm sure a lot of you on the line right now can definitely relate to James and just, you know, having a student like that, sharing something so personal with you. So I really appreciate you guys going over this case study and kind of showing us what you would do. All right, thank you, Tasha, very much. Let's move to Nadine, which was Daniela's group. Do you want to go ahead and report on a little bit more about Nadine and the really great ideas that our group had?
Sure thing. All right, so Nadine's parents went through a divorce in the 3rd grade and placing her mother and her sister in a tough economic bind. Because of this transition, Nadine's performance in school suffered too. She had always been a star student, so her teacher noticed and referred her to CIS. That one-on-one relationship with a caring adult who wasn't part of her family chaos gave her a safe place to sort out her emotions and get her learning back on track. So Nadine's story, we discussed and we realized it's very complex. You know, at the surface, there's this divorce, but there's a lot of different things going on as well. So as we talked about it, our group came up with so many great interventions, beginning with looking at the mother and what the mother might be going through and how we can help support her. So some of the things that came up were potentially putting the mom in a support group to help her deal and feel connected with other people that were going through the same experience. Another thing that they came up with was also to share a potential resource book. I think it was Nicole that shared that her school site has a very comprehensive resource book, and it would be great to kind of look through that and see if there's anything that could potentially help her with utility bills, with the financial piece, since her mom was struggling financially. There's one specific service that they talked about as well, which is a class that a bank offers on money management. So looking at this as kind of like a long-term intervention and how we can set her mom up for success and looking at a sustainable approach in dealing with finances. So that was the mom. And then in terms of Nadine, since Nadine would often have to come to school early and leave really late, we talked about putting her in an after-school program where she can connect with others and feel like she's in a safe place and in a good place when she is at school for those long hours. We also talked about putting Nadine in a support group during school hours where we can kind of select the students that are going through similar situations. A lot of times students aren't aware that they're not alone in the feelings that they're having and that there's other students that are sharing the same kind of situations that they're going through. So creating that network of support with her peers. We talked about using Nadine's good grades to empower her and also potentially plug her into like a mentoring program where she feels empowered and she feels that her good grades are being utilized in a manner that empowers her and makes her helps her move forward. And finally, we talked about her anxiety and the potential that there might be, you know, I'm not sure if it's a lot of anxiety or a little bit of anxiety, but once looking into that, providing her with tools that she could use on the go. So on the day-to-day while in class, potentially a stress ball that we can make with Nadine so that if she becomes very stressed out, she has something to go to. And then if her anxiety is so much to the point where it's interfering with her day-to-day, potentially plugging her into mental health and counseling services.
Great, that was a great report out.
Thank you.
And so I'm Daniela's group, so I'm a little biased, but the conversation was really great, and I love the fact that we kind of sat back, we read Nadine's story, we read it again, and then we started with the family, which, I mean, that's one of the most unique things about communities and schools is we're not just helping the students, we're helping the entire family and making sure that we are addressing that need, addressing Nadine's bigger needs, and then going as far down as a stress ball in class to just help her out with her anxiety. I thought that was really, really cool. All right, Brittany, Alex, you are up.
All right, so we have Brittany. She's a high school student, 9th grade. She knows their community was filled with poverty, drugs, prostitution, and violence, and couldn't really see herself moving out of that and going to college. She was also very quiet and withdrawn. And once she got referred to the psych coordinator, she reported that her attendance was low and her grades were dropping. And the teachers told the psych coordinator that she seemed tired and was always falling asleep in class. And when she first met with the psych coordinator, she was polite and nice, but not very open. So our breakout session discussed a couple different things about this student. One, that she seems like she's got low self-esteem, she has low parental support, and low attendance. So those were kind of the big three that our team or our group tackled. And we decided that kind of the first thing that we needed to do to figure that out was talk to the parents or do a family team meeting to bring in the parents, school counselors, anybody else that's involved with the family so we could figure out what was going on. And then, you know, maybe do a home visit to figure out what's going on at home, if there's something there that's keeping Brittany from being successful in school or why her grades are dropping. So a couple of the ideas that our group thought of for support, one was giving the student a journal to write or to draw in since she's really quiet and kind of starting there, and then having the student come back in to maybe discuss some of the things that she'd written or drawn. So not only was it a journal for her, but it was something that the psych coordinator could follow back up with and hopefully start building that relationship. Also thought about maybe some mentoring and putting Brittany with a one-on-one adult. And, you know, for the parental support, maybe, you know, some of the ideas were discussed was maybe Brittany's tired because she's working at night. And so maybe parents need some help on finding employment or better employment. So working with the parents, again, like was talked about before, on finding jobs for the parents. And let's see, also talked about for the for her being quiet and withdrawn is maybe doing putting her in a girls group or some other kind of small group like that. And our came up right at the end, so some of the folks in our group wanted some more information on girls groups. Then, and for the attendance, we talked about putting her in an attendance group where we just talk about the importance of attendance, and then also daily attendance monitoring and maybe some phone calls home if she's not there that day. So there are lots of great ideas.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys had a chatty group. That's awesome. So one of the things, I'm going to share a quick story. Make sure you guys can hear me, sorry. I'm going to share a quick story about, so I was a site coordinator in Richmond, Virginia, and I had a student, well, I had a lot of students exactly like Brittany, just making, looking in the community and seeing drugs and violence and all, just craziness, things that our students should not be seeing. And one of the things that we did that I thought was really cool, and it just reminded me of this, is we did the same thing, the girl groups, the boy groups, that sort of thing. And we actually brought people in from the community that were actual positive role models. So I went to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, so we brought in, a basketball player or, field hockey, something like that, like people that are actually good role models in the community. So I thought that, maybe that could be something that could help Brittany just see the positive in her community. But you guys did a really great job. Thank you for sharing, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Okie doke. Last but not least, Amanda. I believe that was Jessica Baker.
Yeah, we had a really spirited conversation and a lot of participation. We had an awesome group conversation about Amanda. So Amanda was a student that described herself as a punk little high schooler. She had her own spirit and didn't quite like to conform to rules, had a history of skipping class, and was opposed to authority. A lot of issues with hating herself and hating the world around her, and then a high risk of self-harm and self-injury and a history of being hospitalized for psychiatric reasons. CPS involvement as well. She had Child Protective Services that was involved with the family, and we weren't sure why. But in her story, she shared that she did tell the CPS worker what was going on in her life, and shared her story, and then nothing happened as a result of that. So we had a lot of conversation in our group about kind of the risk factors and what was going on with her. And certainly the harmful behavior was one of the first issues because she identified that as one of her only coping mechanisms. And she said that she used that to numb out and not feel pain, and definitely felt plagued by this and the thoughts in her mind every day. So that is something that sounded like it was definitely at the forefront that we needed to get some more information about, as well as the hospitalization, to find out kind of how often was she hospitalized? Is this a frequent thing? Was this something that just happened once? Did she have an aftercare plan when she got out of the hospital? Is she hooked up with outpatient services, a counselor? Is she on medication? What's her diagnosis? That sort of thing. And then also looking at the self-cutting and the self-harmful behavior. Is she, how frequently is she doing it? What's the intensity and what's the duration of it as well, and just kind of try to come up with a safety plan about that once we have all that information. So definitely taking all that information, then also looking at what resources are involved for her. Does she have an outpatient person that she sees for therapy? Is she on medication? Is she not on medication? Are her parents involved in treatment? Was CPS being involved? Was that a once and done thing, or is that something that just happened one time? Was it just an allegation, or is it something that has been an ongoing situation with children and youth? And so what is her support or lack thereof, which could explain her lack of self-esteem and her isolation as well. So definitely doing that. Amanda does really well in school in the sense that she gets hundreds on all her tests, but then doesn't do her homework. So maybe she's not doing her homework because the home life is chaotic. Does she need a safe place to do her homework in school? So definitely the group was great at identifying her strengths and even looking at her, her resiliency and her intelligence with being able to do the work, and her strong spirit. Even though she has an issue with authority, a lot of times our kids, that can be channeled in a positive way with leadership and that sort of a thing. And a lot of our kids that identify themselves as different can be artistic and expressive, and just kind of finding a channel for that. So in terms of support, group members wanted to look at developing self-esteem and positive self-concept, so looking at maybe a specialized group for that. They also had the idea of possibly getting her in a group with some other girls that maybe had issues with cutting, but being mindful that sometimes when you get groups together that have the same issue like that, it has to be very closely monitored. But that was also a great idea. Outpatient counseling as an outside support, developing that parental piece as well, and seeing what her family issues were, because we all know that our kids are symptoms of whatever's going on in the family. So developing that family and those natural supports outside of school, helping her develop her coping skills in positive ways, and then also developing her calming techniques. So that was what the group came up with.
Wow, so you had a talkative group as well. That's really great. And you guys came up with some really great supports. And one thing that I was thinking just as we were going through all of these case studies is that if anyone listening or any of the learners have, maybe they have a really great girl group that they'd like to share with, all of our learners, or, they have some really great parental engagement programs or resources or things like that, this is the place to share. I know it's a little bit hectic to share it on the webinar. You're put on the spot. You got to find the resources. But again, we can always carry that over to our Yammer groups. I just want to remind folks and really make that plug for the Yammer group as well, because again, we're learning, we're sharing, we're doing all of this together in the boot camp, which is the sole purpose of everything, and just making sure that we are learning together.
Hey, Ashley, can I actually make a shout out? This is Jessie. I was in Greenbrier County, West Virginia this week, and they have a really cool girls group. They've done in years past, and they're starting up again this year. I think it's called like Cool Women of Greenbrier County or something like that. And it's essentially a monthly group where once a month they bring in like a successful female business leader from the community, or like a successful female athlete, or, like kind of the cool women of the county. And it's for the girls group to kind of get together and just talk about like what are their future ideas and where are they headed, and sort of getting this, in-person example of a local person from their county who's really sort of taken off and happens to be a woman. And it was just a really cool concept, I thought, and a way to get the community more engaged and kind of a hands-on, maybe folks who aren't ready to be a mentor but could come and do a quick speaking engagement during lunch or something. So I just thought that was really cool, and I wanted to give a shout out to them because it was really impressive.
Wow, that sounds really awesome. And I'm sure that we have someone on this webinar or, on this boot camp experience with us from Greenbrier County. So again, if we want to take it over to that Yammer group, if you guys want to post anything, pictures, resources, whatever it is from that girl group, it sounds like, I think it was Alex that said that they had a bunch of questions about girl groups. And again, that made me think of last year's Summer Summit when we had Carly from, I want to say Permian Basin. She's going to kill me if that is wrong, but she actually has created a girl group called Faces, and I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that girls group, but it's kind of a spinoff of the XY Zone, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, which is an all-boy group. Again, those are created from CIS, by CIS, all about CIS. So it definitely, all the resources are there for you. And again, we're happy to connect you with those if you do want to learn more, because there's some really, really great programs in there. And again, we only learn about it by sharing. Conferences, events, things like this, just sharing what we know and, what's working for us.
There's two more in the chat box, actually. I'm not sure if you can see them because I think they're just to the host. Okay, so there's one, Girls on the Run, which I've heard about before, and I've heard it's really a cool way to get girls interacting with one another and doing something. So if you've got girls who aren't really into like sitting around chatting, then Girls on the Run can be a cool partner So the response here, though, says, it's been an awesome group for our girls. One afternoon while running around the track, a 5th grader opened up to me that there was no food at home. And so this site coordinator says that she's the one she talks to every day now. And so,
Wow.
you know, you never know what kind of engagement or activities. I know people mentioned journaling and that kind of stuff. Just different kids process in different ways, open up and trust in different ways. So, and then one more comment, just Jackie Woody says, I have a girls group called Diamonds, which is awesome, and a boys group called Swag. And she said she's about to start a group called Chick Chat to address sort of, quote, specific issues, which is cool. And then one more that says Go Girl Go is another really good curriculum. So these are all great suggestions, and like Ashley said, go ahead and post them to the Yammer group too, so that if you feel like you've got something cool at your site, that's something that you should definitely share with other people. Just post it in the Yammer group, link to whatever website or curriculum you're using.
Yep, absolutely. I was going to suggest the same. I haven't heard of the Diamonds or anything like that, Jackie, so I would love to learn more about that. Sounds kind of cool. And then I also want to make, I know I did it the last one, make a shameless plug for a webinar that I'm going to be hosting on April 4th. It's funny that you guys were asking about girl groups because we're actually going to have Girl Up present on that webinar. It's all about creating that girl group in your school, that sense of sisterhood, the whole nine. And it's a really, really, really great organization that is working with a few of our affiliates across the network, and it's going really well. So hopefully you guys will be able to tune in. I will be the first one to post in our Yammer group for the follow-up today, and I'll post that registration link. All right, so I am going to obviously leave you with this slide of all of our really great resources throughout boot camp, which I'm sure you guys are sick of seeing by now. And while I give you, I think we have 5 minutes left, a couple of minutes to just chat any last-minute thoughts, questions, comments. I also wanted to make a quick plug for our booster videos. So today, what we actually went over for our case studies, we're reading it aloud. So there are actually some pretty amazing videos that our team here at the National Office has spent a lot of time putting together. So if you like the case studies today and you want to see more things like this and more of them, you can check out the Communities and Schools University Training Boosters out on the National Resource Center, and it's that very first bullet right in front of you on the slide. Don't forget the password is Empower. The Communities and Schools University Training Boosters are a more in-depth version of the stories that you saw today. And they include videos of the actual alumni, and they actually walk you through the scenarios and giving you different, what if you did this, what if you did this kind of thing. And it's really cool. Unfortunately, because of the delay in WebEx, it would be a hot mess if we tried to do that via webinar today. So yeah, we wish that we could share the videos, but they really are a really amazing and great training tool. So again, they are on the National Resource Center page, and you can find the registration information. And if you can share that with your executive director or program director, and again, there's ideas on how to use the boosters to have a discussion-based training with your colleagues at your affiliate. So again, just really cool, I guess, extension of Communities and Schools University. Again, just keep coming with these training videos. They're really cool. So the last reminder that I am going to make is just to make sure that you are registering for each webinar separately. If you need any help finding those registration links, feel free to shoot us an email. And then for next week, it is all about data, which I know can kind of be a sticky, kind of boring topic sometimes. However, we actually have our Director of Data Quality, Gretchen O'Sullivan, who's going to be joining us next week, and she kind of makes data fun. So come with any questions or concern, any system questions, any examples of how you use data on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, just come ready to talk data. I don't see any more questions or comments in the chat box, so I'm going to assume that we can go ahead and wrap up with 2 minutes to spare. Thank you, learning leaders, for guiding us through these case studies. We really, really appreciate your leadership, and we will talk to you next Thursday. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.